Hey guys, this is Leticia, and welcome to Holy Girl Hangout. Join me as I discuss the joys and shortcomings of life as a believer. All right, well, welcome back to Holy Girl Hangout. I am super excited for my guest today. Today we have, drum roll please, Mr. Ray. I'm super excited. Thank you for coming and sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So as you can tell, he got a little accent because he ain't from Virginia. So we're gonna get into where he's from. Ray, tell us a little bit about who you are because people don't know you.
Yeah.
Who's Ray?
Okay. So my name is excuse me. I go by Ray, but my government name is Teray. I'm from Alabama.
You putting the government out there.
Yeah, I'm putting the government out there. I'm from the capital, in Alabama. I moved up to Virginia maybe a year and 4 months ago. So last April. I'm currently in nursing school. I currently attend Move Church. That's where Led and I met. And I'm 22 years old. I'm feeling pretty weird. Like I have to talk so loud and I'm focusing on other things besides just like flowing. So
he has such a calm voice. I was like, Ray, you got a real calm voice and it's cool, but you got to speak up.
I got to speak up.
You got to speak up. So you're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing really good.
For sure.
Well, I'm glad you're here today.
Oh yeah, most importantly, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
For sure.
We got to hear Ray's testimony at an IHOP one night after Bible study. And it is a pretty serious testimony. And so I'm super excited for him to share because I can come on and share my testimony and it'll impact someone. But Ray's testimony is going to impact someone very specific. And so I'm super excited for just hearing a little bit about your life and where everything started. But my first question for you is like, what was your relationship with God like as a kid? Did you attend church? Did you know about God? Like, what did that look like for you?
Okay, so growing up, I've always been a believer. It was something that my parents instilled at me at a young age. Grew up in a Christian household. We've always went to non-denominational churches.
Okay.
We were just raised as Christians. So I was baptized when I became, I'm not going to say a specific age because I don't remember. But I know like when I was knowledgeable, I wouldn't say knowledgeable, but when I knew better and I chose to be baptized, that's when I was baptized.
And so you grew up going to church. You grew up hearing about God. You grew up kind of knowing that like you're supposed to have a relationship with God, right?
Absolutely.
But did you feel like you knew God? Even though you were around all of that, did you feel like you knew who God was as a child?
That's a great question. I would say that I knew God. I didn't know him on the level that I know him now. As far as an intimate relationship, it was more or less what I was supposed to do. I enjoyed it as far as we would do Bible studies. At one point in time, I knew all the books in the Bible. Like we had a guy, Mr. Ricky. He would do like our, not even young adults, but the kids, just Bible study. The adults would be outside in the sanctuary. We would be in a room in the back, and that was really cool. And I went to a few different churches as well, and I really enjoyed a lot of the festivities that didn't have to do with the main sanctuary. Like just a way for us to stay stimulated when I was a bit younger.
So you liked having fun. You liked really hearing the message, but in a way that was like you were having fun.
Kiddie like.
Yeah,
like
kid
we can like get a bite to eat, play a few games, indulge in the word a little bit. That was what I really enjoyed. But I did spend a lot of the time in the church as well. And I would say when I came of age, I say like when I was younger, but everybody makes fun of me because I'm still relatively young now. But I remember it was a certain point where I said, man, I want to try to go and find something that I like, something that I resonate with a lot more. So fast forward maybe to high school, from up until like elementary to like high school type vibe. I'm driving at this point and I'm like, hey, like I want to try to branch out and find a different church, something that I like, something that I resonate with, And my dad was like, as long as you go to church, that's the only thing that matters. So as a family, we actually tried and we went to several different churches while we were looking for a new church home. And one of the churches that we came across was Church of the Highlands. And they're within the same arc as the church that we go to now. So I think that's a big reason why I resonated with Move Church.
Okay.
But while I was a little bit younger, Highlands, like that was really cool. I really liked it. I liked the message. I liked the word. I liked the system. I liked the young people. So when I went to like high school, not high school, but college in my college town, that was where I attended, which I didn't attend often, but that's where I was whenever I was in attendance at service.
So you kind of started to have a desire to have a relationship with God, but go somewhere different in high school. And that's when you kind of started to shift into finding the Church of the Highlands?
It was more or less not even high school. It was college. In high school, we went as a family.
Okay.
And like we went and we attended a time or two. But like I had certain family members and they was like, this doesn't resonate with me that well. I prefer the traditional one, like the one my grandma goes to, or like the one that we went to. So like as a family, we chose not to go there. But I knew in my heart and my mind, I was like, I enjoy this style of service. So it wasn't until college, at that point where I was really grown and I could choose to go where I wanted to. That's why I decided to start indulging in something more or less like Highlands.
Okay. And so you started going in college, but you were kind of going every once in a while. It wasn't like a consistent thing.
Yeah, as far as the Highlands, never really super consistent. And like I say, back in high school, I would say we had a family church. We've always had a family church, one that we would go to. We would always be in attendance every Sunday for the most part.
Okay.
Bible studies, like we fell off here and there. But for a while, we were like strong and consistent. I think in all honesty, we would always go until something happened that then we wouldn't go anymore. Whether it be some type of drama, whether it be some type of altercation, whether it be disrespect or something along those lines. That's when we would stop attending as a family and find a new place. So, yeah.
So there was always a reason that you guys kind of went back and forth.
Pretty much. I can't speak on specifics, excuse me. I just don't honestly remember. But I have enough knowledge now to be able to look back on it and put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And it was always something like that.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know you grew up going to church. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But there was another part of your life. So you were going to church. Because that's what we're here for. You were going to church. You knew of God. But what did your life look like in middle and high school first? Okay. I don't know what kind of, like, did you have a normal teenage life? What kind of stuff were you into? What kind of stuff did it lead to in college? Like, take us there. Start us.
Okay. Yeah. So, middle school, I know I was like a really ugly guy, but I was super funny. And I always had my brownie points for being funny. I was cool, and that was it. So, middle school, it was nice. I played the trumpet and I played the baritone.
Okay.
I got to high school and they were like, you can either do band or you can do football. So I was like, deuces to band, and I did football instead. I really fell in love with the sport. I had been playing for a while at that point, but I think I sort of started to lock in my sophomore year, like the 9th grade summer going into sophomore year. So I was actually starting on varsity, but I got hurt. I had a high ankle sprain, and it was hard for me to shake back. Man, I was in the mindset of, man, I lost my starting spot. Coaches really don't show me any love anymore the way they used to. And on top of that, every time I got healed and I got back into the swing of things, I got hurt again. So after the third time, my dad was like, yo, if you get hurt again and you go back and you play this season, you're done. Like, you're not playing anymore. So at that point, I had to like just make a conscious decision to say, hey, I'm not going to play. I'm going to wait. I'll take some time off when I come back next season. And that was like by far, up until that point, that was the best season I had ever played. Excuse me. The following season, my junior year. So fast forward, workout condition, train really well. We end up going to state. We lose the state championship, but we played at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and that's the stadium at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Fast forward from there to my senior year. At this point, like, we were on TV, we were making history. No team has ever done that in Wetumpka, so that was like huge. It was big. Like, we really did the thing, and like at some points, I was actually like broadcasted on TV, and like I was blessed with the opportunity to go and speak, even though I wasn't a quote unquote captain yet. So fast forward to my senior year, I'm putting the work in, I'm praying about it, and I'm like, yo, I really want to become team captain. So our coaches would do this thing where we would go bowling. We would bowl as a team. We would like play games as a team. And before everybody would leave to take the bus to go back to school, it would be, hey, we're going to vote for captains now. So we voted. I was like the first captain. Like when he called my name, I was super excited, like ecstatic. And everybody just looked at me like, bro, chill out. Like, I'm like, oh, I didn't know, it was cool. So fast forward there, we make it to the 4th round. We lose by 1 point at home. And that is when life, I wouldn't say that's when life shifted, but at that point I was like, it was cool. I did what I wanted to do with it, and I'm looking to do something different.
So this was your senior year. Yes. So you had played football all of high school.
You were middle school, high school, elementary for a good portion too.
Your team was really popular. Mm-hmm. Like you guys were on TV at one point or broadcasted. Mm-hmm. And then you said you had this championship.
Close to it.
Okay. Yeah. So did you play in the championship?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so you played, but you lost in the championship. Yes, we lost. And then that's when stuff started to shift.
No, I wouldn't say that. Like, that was my junior year. Okay. And then my senior year, we went back, and they was like, we lost a lot of starters. A lot of people went off to college. Everybody told us, yo, y'all made history. If y'all were going to win anything, it would have been that year. So now this year, it's sort of like, whatever. We're not really expecting y'all to do anything. We went back, and we made a little bit of noise. But I would say that was sort of...
Did you guys win?
No.
No, but you played in the championship?
Yeah, so Alabama and Auburn's a pretty huge rival. I don't know how you all's rivalries exist here. So essentially, we played at Bryant-Denny, which is Alabama, Tuscaloosa, their stadium. And that was my junior year. Okay. If we would have won that game that we lost 1 point at home, we would have went to Auburn and played for the championship versus the same team that beat us the previous year. So it would have been an interesting rematch, but it just wasn't in God's will.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Hey, it's like that sometimes. Yeah. It's like that.
And so was your life kind of normal in high school? Like normal teenage life? Like just girls, football,
not
like
even
that kind
girls,
of stuff?
Like just football. My parents were pretty strict. Okay. But we also have flexibility. But that was sort of, we'll get into that as well. Like that's sort of what I would say that's what not necessarily hindered me. I just didn't understand the gravity of what my father was trying to do. I was like, man, can I go across the street? It's like 10 o'clock. No, you can't go across the street. I'm like, it's like 2 minutes away. Like, bro lives here. You know him. But looking back on it, it's like, what could you be doing on a weekday at 10 o'clock at night? Like it's just, it just wasn't a recipe for success. Yeah. So looking back on it, I understand it. And as far as girls, I think I've only had one girlfriend that came my senior year. I really wasn't active at all until that became my senior year as well. So really, I wouldn't say I missed out on a lot, but I really didn't do too much.
Okay. So your life was pretty normal in high school.
Super normal. Okay. Yeah, like for birthdays, we would go get a bite to eat. My parents always did it huge. We would do invite everybody out. They would get like platters of wings, platters of fries. Maybe like go to a movie theater afterwards. I know one year we rented a movie theater out. Not we, they. We went to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Went back to the house, played football, had a big sleepover.
Oh, nice. So you had a pretty normal
peaches and cream
everyday life. Okay, I'm learning more because I did not know. Okay.
I was definitely raised very well.
Okay.
Very well.
Yes, so then you graduate high school.
Yes. So we'll take it back a little bit. Before I graduate, towards December, I got into this altercation with my family. It wasn't physical, it wasn't verbally abusive, anything like that. And it was like we pretty much somebody orchestrated to take pictures with all the moms. Okay. And my mom, she told me, she was like, hey, I really want this moment to be for me. And at this point, my dad and my stepmom have always been together my whole life. But I was like, I can respect that for you, Mom. If you want this to be done for you, we can do it for you. Not take accountability or to dish it out, but that's my mindset. That's where I was at with it. So we take the pictures, whatever. My buddy, which he takes pictures for the Kansas City Chiefs, the ones who won the Super Bowl, like he does pictures for them. He was at University of Alabama taking pictures for them as well, and he posts them on Facebook. So I leave from my mom's for the weekend, go to school. It's a normal day. I come home, and my dad's waiting to talk to me. And at this point, he's like, visibly upset. But like I say, he's not raising his voice. He's not acting out of character, but we just had a talk. And I won't go into too much, just in layman terms. I basically just packed my bag and I left. And
so you and your dad got into a discussion, and it ended up with you leaving.
Yeah, at this point, and it had been a trend up until that point as well. It was like a lot of intervention in between before I left, but it boiled down to me packing a bag, telling my sister, my brother goodbye. My stepmom, she tried to come out and talk to me. She was like, hey, that's not what he means. Like, you think he really wants you to go. He doesn't want you to go. And I think at that point I was over.
Did he tell you to leave?
He was like, I don't expect you to stay. That's what he said. Like, I don't expect you to stay.
So the conversation got to the point where he was like...
Yeah, he was like, I'm expecting you to pack a bag and leave. And I was like, okay. And that
all because of some pictures.
Yeah. And wow. It was something like we really... It broke our relationship for a while. And like at this point, that's sort of where we get into the start of...
The shift.
Yeah.
The shift. Let's hear the shift. So this happened. Where do you go?
So
you pack your bags.
This is like December 26th, maybe like December 14th before Christmas, somewhere around that period of time. But I leave and I go to my mom's house at this point. And like I say, I've always seen her every other weekend for the most part. My dad and my stepmom have always took care of me, primary custody. Life was great. It was gravy. And I go and I start living with moms. And it's a big shift as far as my attitude, my demeanor, lifestyle, because you got to think about it. My dad's a 6-figure earner, and that's just his income. My mom's a school teacher, so it's like a night and day difference. So in the sake of time, I essentially start to think, how can I compensate for this balance of income that is no longer there? So I get a job. It's like maybe like my first check's like $200-$300, whatever. I'm on top of the world. Like, high school, making this money is cool.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I'm working at I think Arby's. It is Arby's. And I have a friend of mine, her mom comes to the drive-thru. She's like, hey, the hospital's hiring. Like, I can put in a word for you. You apply, give me your number, that type of thing. So that was my entry point into the hospital scene. So fast forward from there, I was working as a transporter. I switched to an operating room assistant for a short period of time. And then I became a medical care technician. And then I became a phlebotomist. But not to get ahead of ourselves. The shift was, I would say, maybe around the time I was getting ready to graduate, when I met my ex-girlfriend, and she's from Pennsylvania. So she's a big stoner. Like weed is a big thing just in this area alone versus back home in Alabama. That's just not, you get caught with a gram, that you go to jail for like a while, like your life is ruined, versus, up here, you'll have dispensaries and things of that nature. So I sort of just got introduced to a lot of smoking stuff, which at that point I had already been smoking. We had already been doing parties, drinking, vibing, enjoying life, even though I was a Christian. I know you asked me about that as well. So my walk definitely didn't exemplify Christian
living.
Yeah, like you couldn't see it. I went to church, and a lot of my buddies went to church, and we weren't living right in layman terms. So I would say.
So you met this girl. She smokes a lot.
Yeah. She pretty much just taught me a few things. But the biggest thing, like I think I have a competitiveness about me and a fascination as well. So I was like, actually the biggest reason for me to even, for things to amplify the way that they did, I got tired of waiting on people to smoke. I was like, where are you, man? I'm trying to get this or that. I want to smoke. And it was just people had lives. I'm at work. And it's cliche sayings like, man, like, how are you the plug? Do you not want to make any money? Like, what's the vibe? So I became the plug. And that's what it was. And that amped up. It started off relatively small, a couple grams, a little sack here and there. And I the homies would be like, yo, like, this smoking, bro. Like, you got me? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's whatever, Then that built up, escalated to a couple pounds, Then a couple pounds became a few pounds.
Was it just weed?
Yeah, for the most part. I'm not sure how like the statue works, how long you can go back.
Okay.
But
you don't want to get too detailed.
No, yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, but I was also into a few other exotic things as well. Okay. And like that was really how I made a name for myself. Okay. Everybody and their mama sold weed, but it was like, if you want, not like cocaine or nothing like that, but if it was like, if you want some it's a name for us chronically online people. Oh, what's the name of it? I can't think of it. It's like Pendjamin. That's what they call it. The Pendjamin. Not like a nicotine vape, but the Pendjamin. If you wanted some Pendjamins, talk to Ray. And I would pretty much hit the road, come back, and I brought him to the city, and it was hot. Like nobody was doing that. I met a guy. We still friends to this day. Real good guy, man. Like we locked in, and he helped me go up, and I helped him go up. Whether I went and got 50, 100, or whether I got one, the price was the same.
So you were not only selling weed, but you were selling other stuff. And so that's how you became known. Like, people knew that you
from
had
the other
stuff.
Things. Yeah. Like I said, everybody pretty much had weed. But as far as, like, if you wanted a pen, it was like, yo, hit up Ray, Like, he got a pen. And, like I said, she was a stoner. She had the big house. Her parents worked. They threw parties. A lot of freedom. So they were always gone. So it was like, yo, pull up to the crib. I'll serve you right quick and you keep it pushing. And it was an essential spot. So it was just good vibes, easy access, good money. But I didn't realize at the time how much it was draining me. That I didn't realize that until a while later. But like I said.
And how long did that go on for?
It had to be every bit of 3 years.
So it started in your senior year?
No.
Or it started when you graduated?
Yeah. Okay. I know my mom, she was like, hey, I don't want you staying there. And I was like, yo, once I graduate, I'm going to start staying there. Like, at this point,
staying where?
Living with my ex at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she was like, I don't want you staying there. Like, it would be times where, like, my car, say, I had, like, a couple cars. I got into an accident at one point, totaled it out. Sometime, I don't even remember for the second time, but I know for one of my cars, I totaled it on the way home. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I make it all the way home, maybe like 30 seconds from the crib. I close my eyes, wake up, I'm inside a pole. And like I get out, I'm like called, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, like I messed up. And it's like, you're alive, you're good, it's okay. And I think I was high as a kite.
Yeah.
Sleep deprived and high as a kite. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I've been smoking.
Your car was like wrapped around a pole?
It was like 4-door car. Look, they called it my little Kia. I forgot the name. Oh, it's whatever. My little Kia. And the left side, the driver door, pole, smashed into it. Had to get out from the passenger side. Not a scratch on me though. Not a scratch at all. So yeah.
You were still being covered when you when you weren't living right yet.
Yeah. And then I guess like just on that same topic of not living right and being covered, it's been multiple instances where I was just on my hot boy stuff, living life, not a care in the world. I remember one time I was in Auburn. I get to this red light, and get to it. I stop, complete stop, halt all the way, put my blinker on and turn right. But at this point, a cop right behind me, and I'm like, oh man, like at this point I'm double cup, sipping on some Remy. I got a couple pounds in the car with me, so I'm like, think fast, what do I do? Throw the book bag in the bag. I had some turkey bags, so the scent wasn't a factor. Double cup, poured underneath the passenger seat, throw the cups underneath the seat as well, stuff it. I pull over, I stop. He was like, yo, why does it smell like alcohol in here? And I'm like, I'm not sure, officer, but I can take a breathalyzer right now if you want me to. Like, I'm not sure what it is. I get my mom on the line, I call her, and I'm like, hey, do you have the insurance? I need the insurance. I don't have the insurance, I think at this point I had a pistol and everything, my pistol permit. But, like my parents taught me, if you get stopped as a black man in America, both hands out of the window, roll the windows down, turn your lights on, have your ID out, insurance. Like I said, my pistol up top in the holster, pistol permit, showed him everything. So he knocked on the window. He was like, knock, let this back window down, let all the windows down. So at this point, like, he's looking. He doesn't know the weed is in the book bag, but it's there. And like I said, the alcohol was there too. So at that point, if he asked me to get out and he searches the car, that's game over a while ago. So it's covered by the grace then as well. And yeah.
Okay. Wow. This is a lot. I'm trying to hear everything and take it in. Okay. So after you graduate high school, then you move in with your ex, and then you're selling drugs and you're selling just different things. And this goes on for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then when do you get to a stopping point? Like, when does it get to the point where you, I don't know, it's like a breakthrough. Like, what made you get to that point?
So it's happened a few times. Like,
but the last time, what led to that? The breaking point.
I knew I was like, this isn't something that I want to do forever. I would say the last time was not even by force. It was my own doing. I was like, yo, I'm done. No. Let me not lie to you, actually. I was starting to bring too many people in. I was trying to, expand and trust in others. And I was trying to make sure everybody else could eat at the expense of me. And I had an OG, he had told me at one point, he said, man, like, don't let nobody trick you off these streets, you know what I'm saying? And the same guy I tried to help out and put on before, tried to help him out again, and it just sort of went south. And at this point, I had like a maniac episode, and it was bad. Like, I started like really portraying to be somebody that I wasn't, thinking I was a rapper, thinking that like I was really like to shoot, kill, and it was bad. So I got into it with like a lot of the guys from my hometown. Ended up, I think, like one night, I don't even know what happened. Like, at this point, I'm pressed for funds, super broke. A lot of my stuff is in rotation, and I was like, you know what, bro, you can just keep it. I ain't worried about it. And then it seemed like,
what do you mean in rotation?
So, like, say if you gave me an iPhone and I sold it, that money I owe you. If I didn't want to pay it back to you, I pretty much like ran off on you with the iPhone.
Okay.
So like that was like the sort of instance, but it wasn't the iPhone, it was weed. So I said,
you owed a lot of people.
No, a lot of people owed me.
Oh, a lot of people owed
you. Yeah, well, I guess like in a sense I did as well.
Okay.
To a certain extent though. But I was like, you know what, bro, you can keep it. It's not the end of the world. I'll make it back, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like that sparked something in them to get even more upset, you know. So it was just a whole lot of that. I had people like staying at the crib, you know, like yo, brother, you feel me, move into my son's room before he gets here. You know, you can hold it down. I don't expect no rent from you. You know, if you need to, hey man, take this, get on your feet, things of that nature. So I don't know. I feel really stupid. Like I'm not sure like if I'm incriminating myself or not. In all honesty,
I don't think you are. I don't think you're saying anything that is.
Yeah, this is all hypothetical. I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Look, yeah, I don't think law enforcers are listening to this podcast.
There's no telling.
It's gonna turn around in a second.
Okay.
You know, we're just right now we're just at the story.
Yeah,
but in a second it's about to turn around.
Amen.
And so that's why I wanted to know what was that breaking point. So you owe people, you're broke, you have a kid on the way with your ex-girlfriend. Y'all are living together.
No, at this point, she is at home.
Okay.
I have my own spot.
Okay.
And I would say I'm fresh into this spot, maybe a few months. At this point, like I've had my spots by myself. And at this point, my father helped me out get this spot. Or my dad and my stepmom helped me get this spot. It was like I put the initial money down, but they were giving me a lot of money after the fact.
Yeah.
So my mom ended up moving in with me. And I was like, I didn't want her to, but she didn't have a place to go. So I was like, you know, okay, that's cool. Then I was like, this guy moved in with me too, one of my old associates. And I was like, okay. Like I said, my son's he's on the way. His mom is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm not really present. I'm there, but I'm not there. Barely there. And when I'm there, barely, I'm not there at all. Not present in the moment. So I was like, you know, this is cool, this is fine, this is dandy. But then I started doing what I was doing when I lost my scholarship in college. Started like missing work to focus on weed. And I was like, this isn't it. This isn't smart. So I wouldn't even say I was trying to turn it around. At this point, I'm smoking all the time. I'm drinking. I'm experiencing a little bit of heartbreak, dealing with a lot of anger, built up resentment. And I think it was, my dad texted me. He told me he knew I smoked. And like that really triggered something in me. I don't know what it triggered in me, but at this point, like I started spazzing, like disrespecting him, my sisters, my stepmom, like everybody. And like that was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And from that point, things just really, really went south.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the gloves are off, man. You know, like if he knows, it's whatever. You know, like I'm ready to go about it with anybody at this point. So, yeah.
Okay. And so this is the breaking point for you. Your dad now knows what you're doing. Did he know that you were also selling too, or so he knew that you were selling?
I think so. The signs were there, but it was never like a clear-cut, concise conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he knew that this was going on. Your mom was living with you. And then what happened? Why'd you stop living in that apartment?
So basically, that's a great question. So in layman terms, I hit the road. I was on the way to Michigan. And
what was in Michigan?
Free, legal, you know, recreational smoke.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, I just want to transition, maybe get out there. Still with the wrong mindset. Like, man, you know, maybe I can send some stuff back home, make some money, revamp myself. Not thinking right at all. Had a trash bag full of clothes, son on the way, an apartment. But at this point, I'm like, the people I'm beefing with, I don't feel safe to go home. I don't want to do anything to anybody either, you know, like just wasn't in the right state of mind by any means. So I hit the road to leave, and I end up driving for hours and hours and hours, and I'm smoking, and I'm not sleeping at all. And I get to a spot, and I get into this altercation with this guy. I asked him to go inside and, yo, can you put X, Y, and Z amount of gas in the car for me? I'll cash app it to you. And this guy just didn't want them. Like, he took the money, he went inside the store, but it doesn't take long to say, hey, can I put 25 on pump 3? You know? And so I end up going inside behind him, and you know, we got into an altercation. I don't want to elaborate too much. It's still a little fresh, but we get into an altercation. The clerk then calls the authorities, and there's, for the lack of better words, just an altercation. Yeah. So we'll just fast forward past the next part.
Yeah. So all of that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we end up, we'll say we go to timeout. We go to timeout for a little bit.
Yeah.
And through timeout, things are different. You sort of have to be sober. And through my timeout, it was a very, I would say traumatic, but I don't say it for envy. It was a very pivotal point in my life. It was like, man, you're in this racist town, racist people look at you different. Like, they used to literally do lynchings in this place of the world. So it was like, man, game over. You know, you pass go, you don't collect $200. This is it. So I was ready to give up at that point. Thought I would never come to terms with seeing my family again. Thought I would never see my son again. At this point, I was a little apologetic, or very apologetic, just crying profusely. Like, just like, I'm sorry, you know, like, this is it. Like, you know, I love you, and this is it.
And so just so we're clear, the police caught up with you, and you were in timeout. We're going to use the word timeout, but y'all can guess what that means. And that is when you just thought it was over.
Yeah.
You thought that you were going to be in timeout for the rest of
So, like,
time.
Even before timeout, it was like they drew down on me. I took off. I get to...
So they came and were coming after you, and you took off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Get to the interstate. Crash out.
So it was like a police chase.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Crash out, scrape the side of my car. And when they get to me, they get to the window, snatch me out the car. At this point, I'm like, yo... And I'm trying to give them anything to not make them kill me. Because, like I said, guns are drawn. I'm snatched out. I'm on the ground. It's like a big deal. It's a huge scene. And I'm like, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. Like, just pleading for my life at this point.
Yeah.
I was pretty fearful. Then I go in the back of the cop car, and it's like, man, I'm finally at peace. I can finally rest. I'm not worried about X, Y, and Z. Not knowing there was a brand new can of worms on the way. So we fast forward. We spend a couple months in timeout. If that, you know, by the grace of God, I'm given a second chance. Things were not looking in my favor at all. Like, it's a blessing to be free. It's a blessing to be in my right mind, and I don't take it for granted.
Yeah. So you're out of that. So you experienced that, which is a lot. First of all, if we can just pause, because that's a lot.
Yeah. Like I say,
that's a lot.
I'm not there to really go into great detail
and
about it.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah. But just to know that I mean, you know, obviously it was your doing, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't hard, you know, and that doesn't mean that it wasn't scary. Yeah. Especially being in an all white town, being in an area where you knew they could have done something to you, you know? And so all of this happens, and that's a lot, first of all.
For sure.
That is a lot. But when was that moment that you started to desire Jesus again after all of this? Was it in timeout? Was it after? Like, when did you begin to say, Jesus, like, I'm going to take you serious? Like, when did that happen?
So after timeout, I went to the Happy House for a little bit, and that was very interesting. Okay. You're confined to so many walls. And at this point,
is that kind of like a rehab?
No, like a mental house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was different. I wasn't accustomed to it. It was my first time going, and you can sort of walk, like I say, the same four walls, the same people, and you can't leave. That's the worst part. You can't leave. It's like, imagine being in a dream that you can't escape. And for me, I was so doped up on medication that, like, I just went through some inhumane things. So at this point, I'm not in my right mind. So it took a while for me to shake back. And when I finally shook back to a decent amount, I was able to be released into the custody of my father. Okay. And that's when I came home. To my new home.
To Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like my story about coming here. And I'm not really, you know, I don't tell everybody why. Everybody asks, why'd you get up and move to Virginia? The grace of God, you know. Yeah. Put it on my heart to come. But I wouldn't say I'm lying, but I just want
to. Yeah, you don't have to share it with everyone.
Yeah, you know, but like, I want to not have to, you know.
Explain everything to everybody.
Yeah. So.
Okay. And so your dad got you. You came to Virginia, and now it's kind of like a fresh start.
It's a literal fresh start, but I'm not viewing it in that way. In my mind, I'm like, man, these people from back home, I almost lost everything. I'm angry. I'm upset. I got a little bit of money coming in. Like, I just want to get out of here, go back home, and just crash out again, you know? And that just wasn't a feasible option. Yeah. So I'm thankful for my dad's patience. Whole lot of patience. We got into like arguments. It's like it was at a point he was ready to give up on me. And like I say, I'm not in my right mind at this point. I can't talk without stuttering. I was ventilating. I think hyperventilating is the term. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sit still for long periods of time. I wasn't allowed to play video games. I had to watch what I was watching. It was a lot. And it was a big seasoning period of isolation. Feeling alone, being in isolation. And it was like, man, what do? I don't have anybody to rely on as far as a significant other. My family that I have now, it's on thin ice. Things are looking funny. It's skeptical. I don't have any friends, any family. I'm not drinking. I'm not smoking. What is there to do? It would be nice. I would want to lay down and go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't talk. I didn't want to work out. So, I mean, at that point, the only person I had was Jesus. But like I say, my mindset isn't, Lord, I'm thankful for this second chance. It's life sucks. Life really sucks. So I would say fast forward a few months, my dad is like almost at a breaking point where it's like, yo, I'm gonna get you the plane ticket. You go home tomorrow. And I called him. I was like, crying on the phone profusely. I was like, hey, I just want you to come home. We talked about it and I apologized. And at that point, I made like a conscious mental decision to really, I got to change my ways for the better, So I started to do better. Things don't happen overnight, but I was like, I took accountability for what I did. I came to terms with the way life was. And at this point, a lot of stuff is still on social media, from like Instagram to Facebook. Like a lot of my Maniac episode is there, and I haven't been able to delete it. So I was dealing with condemnation, not feeling like I could ever move on and forgive myself for what I did. The world was going to judge me for what I did forever. And like I say, in that moment, Jesus, that was the only thing.
That was all you had left.
That's literally, it was it. There was nobody else, no friends. Like I say, the family that I had, I was on thin ice with. I didn't know anybody here. I wasn't in school. I wasn't working. So it'd be every day, wake up. And like I said, with a heavy dosage of medicine that I was on, I think I gained like 50 pounds in like not even a year. It was like I would wake up, eat, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep. Oh yeah. Then by the time I came home, my feet, I had athlete's foot. It was so bad I could barely walk. So my dad would come, he nursed me back to health, put ointment on my feet, put the socks on top, really just took care of me. And it was beautiful looking back on it now, because that was a time for us to restore our relationship. There was so much time that was lost from my senior year up until about, I was like I'm 21 at this point, so maybe like 17 to 21, like the end of 17, like mid 17 to like 21, getting ready to be 22. So yeah.
Wow. So you had kind of got to that point where you were at your lowest point.
Yeah.
And all you had was Jesus. And you saw that he was the only one that didn't leave. He was the only one that stood by your side the whole time. And then not only that, but you also, this is not a normal thing, but you got to see your father also continue to be there with you through the hardest times of your life. And I'm sure that without you even knowing, that probably helped you to believe in Jesus too. Because when we see a good example of a father on earth, it makes us be able to see Jesus in a different light.
I can't disagree with that.
Whereas if someone was in your shoes but didn't have a relationship with God, it might have been a different turnout. For sure. Or a different relationship with their dad. It might have been a different turnout because they couldn't see that fatherly love from a earthly point, And so, first of all, props to your dad for nursing you back to health, for just not giving up on you, even though he might have wanted to.
Even though everybody told him to.
Yeah.
Even though it cost him an arm and a leg.
He kept being persistent. And that just makes me think of Jesus again. Seriously, because he keeps pursuing us. He keeps doing what we don't deserve.
Amen.
Amen. And like your dad was doing to you what you didn't deserve necessarily.
Not at all.
But he knew that you were worth it. And he didn't give up on you. So shout out to your dad.
Shout out to Paul.
Wow. That is amazing. Okay. And so you begin in that moment to make a conscious decision to begin to follow Jesus or to begin to do better.
To get to know him on an intimate level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what did that start to look like for you? How did you do that?
For me, that was the only person I could talk to. So, besides my dad being there, and things were always so much tension between us, we get to talking for a few minutes and it would be an issue. All I could do was pray. I would pray in the morning time, be by myself, pray at night, just pray like, I want things to go back. Not necessarily to normal, but just be better. I want to be able to talk again.
Yeah.
I want to be able to sit down and enjoy and watch a movie without having to get up and walk away. So I just began to seek him. And I began to seek him and seek him and seek him. And slowly but surely, small pieces started coming back to me. I got my car. With the car came freedom again. I got a job. With the money, the car, not arguing, and it was just small little pieces. I got a gym membership just to be able to work out and get out of the house. So things were starting to fall into place. I was looking at getting back into school. And the biggest thing was maybe in December at this point. I'm better, a lot better. And I'm praying, I'm saying, hey, I really want to get accepted into nursing school. I have a few options lined up, and I just, I want you to tell me what I need to do. I want you to steer me. So the Lord allowed me to get accepted into a program, even though it wasn't the program that I wanted to be in. It was a licensed practical nurse program versus a bachelor's. So, or just like a registered nurse, associate's or the bachelor's level. But I went, I put my best foot forward. Fast forward 5 or 6 months, God blessed me with the opportunity to switch programs. And like I say, this was back in December, and it's on my IG now, on my highlights, where basically I wrote about it and I prayed about it to be accepted into an RN program to become an RN. And that's the walk that he's allowing me to live out now. So it was huge. But as far as the intimacy, I really had to go and seek that on my own. Hence, me going and looking for a church home for myself. My dad was like, why don't you, you don't want to do anything with us? You're just always isolated. And it was more or less, I'm trying to find myself. I'm trying to figure out who I am the right way. Without the smoking, without the drinking, without without arguing. So I went on the hunt. And I eventually found where I attend now, and it's a beautiful thing. I recently got baptized.
Yeah, he did.
Turning my life around. I'm trying to guard my heart, guard my ears, guard my eyes with the things I listen to, the things I see, the way I speak. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, all praise, honor, and glory to God for giving me a second chance. I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah.
I feel as if my sister and I talk all the time, and I don't have the option to be selfish anymore. He could have left me where I was at. He could have said game over, and if so, I wouldn't be here. I literally gave up hope. I was like, I'm ready to end it all. I'm ready to die. I'm not gonna sit in the cell for the rest of my life. So for him to bring me out of that, just beyond gracious.
Wow, that's a story.
Yeah,
that is a story, and I feel like although you were going to church, I've seen a huge shift in you when you started joining small groups and community. How has that changed your view of Christianity or just even following Jesus, being a part of a community? Because people go to church all the time, right?
Go to church all the time.
But you said a comment the other day. You were like, you said something like, what's made me love this church or what has made me really feel so close here is the people I've met, is the community. And so, why are our small groups important? Why does it matter that you get in something like a small group? What has that done for you?
So I'm not sure the biblical verse, but it's essentially iron sharpening iron. You know what I mean? And for me, it's showing me a new perspective of people that are around my age, people that are young, actually being on fire for the Lord, and not just saying it, but I'm seeing it in their walks. I'm seeing it in the way they talk. I'm seeing it in the way that they portray themselves, their tonality. So it's made it so much more digestible versus me to be able to come on a Sunday and really indulge and enjoy the word, for me to be able to come on a Wednesday and enjoy the word, for me to be able to come on a Thursday and enjoy the word.
Yeah.
And it's not that it stops there. When we meet on Wednesdays or Fridays or Thursdays, we then go out and we fellowship afterwards for hours. Last night, we went to prayer. I don't even do that. Monday night prayer, that's a foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I didn't get home till 12:30. We're out talking about God, talking about life. I recently went this past Sunday and evangelized for the first time. And that was something I never thought I would do. And it's just, but as far as back to your question, the topic of getting plugged in, with small groups, that's been hands down the deciding factor for me to say, yo, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It's sort of like y'all can't explain it. It's different.
Yeah.
Like when it's 3 or more there or 2 or more there, he's in the midst.
Yeah.
And I feel as if I think and I know, I don't even feel, we're growing stronger. Like we're a church family. There's some good people there.
Yeah.
And even before I made it to this church, I found a church that I liked, but I was going for the wrong reasons. It was like, I like this girl or I like that girl.
Yeah.
And that was really holding me there. So I really made it a conscious decision moving to this church to not do that.
Yeah.
To really just come for the word. Of course, I want somebody, but that's not important. The
Yeah.
word, Jesus is the reason
It's
for the
not
season.
the most important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In due time, that shall come as well.
Wow. You heard it here, guys. Community is important because he's right. Like, it's literally become like a small family, you know? And like, obviously we still have all only known each other for a few months, but we have done so much together in these past few months. All of us, you know, whether it's going to events together. And it just shows that like, you can't do life alone. You cannot do life alone. God doesn't call us to do life alone. And he has so much for you. And a lot of it is in the context of Christian community. That's where you grow. That's where you can get encouraged. That's where you can get corrected. That's where you can get discipled, you know? But Ray, I just want to say I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Hearing your story, hearing where you've come from, hearing just how different your life looks now. I don't even think we would recognize you before. We wouldn't know the Ray, like seeing you now and who you used to be, man, that shift is huge.
It is.
And not that we wouldn't have loved on you and all of that before, but it would have just been so different now, knowing you now compared to then.
Amen.
And so it is truly a miracle that God has brought you through. And I just hope you keep going up from here. I just hope you keep staying close to Jesus because he's already propelling you in so many directions.
Amen.
He's propelling you so quickly and so easily, but don't forget him.
I can't. Even if I tried, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Like I say, if it weren't for him, I would still be in timeout.
Yeah.
And even if he does, that's something that somebody told me and it stuck with me. Even if he does nothing else for me, he's done more than enough.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Bye, guys.